Welcome to the Dragon's Library, your source for games, movies, shows, and more. Alright everybody, welcome back to the Dragon's Library. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite shows on TV, Rick and Morty. It's also the only reason I would actually ever need cable on a regular basis, so really glad you're there, cable. You're there for one show. Ugh. Dead formats. Anyway, moving on from that little rant. For those of you who don't know, today we're going to be talking about Rick and Morty. Its 5th season just wrapped up, and I really want to talk about it, so we're talking about it. Now, I'm not really going to do a full review of all the other seasons of Rick and Morty. I'm mostly just talking about season 5. I'm going to give a brief overview. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Rick and Morty is a series about a mad scientist named Rick, who is like the smartest being in the universe. He lives with his grandson Morty, his daughter Beth, her husband Jerry, who is a loser, and Morty's sister, who is Summer. He takes his grandson on really irresponsible space adventures. And he has an interdimensional portal gun that lets him travel between alternate timelines, alternate realities, that kind of thing. So think Back to the Future, but they travel through space instead of time and alternate dimensions. And also he's a socially amoral, completely psychotic madman. Because, that's who Rick is. He's a alcoholic, drug user, and all around just, not a person you'd look to as, a role model. He'll regularly sell, experimental antimatter weapons on the black market in order to get money to go to an arcade. So, that basically just sums Rick up as a whole, He's dead inside. It's almost like someone had an adventurer who kept being an adventurer and then eventually just became an anti-hero, and now he's just this dead inside old man. That's basically Rick. Throughout the previous seasons, we had gotten a lot of, minor hints towards his backstory, and the running joke in the show is always, whenever his backstory comes on, it's like, don't you start talking about canon with me? This is not canon. We don't talk about canon here. Which has always been a little endearing to me. I've always loved those moments. And really the show is mostly episodic, just going on really weird, wacky space adventures, or traveling to alternate realities, dealing with alternate versions of Rick and Morty, that kind of thing. So, the new season is in the fallout of Beth and Jerry getting back together. So, the previous seasons, Rick comes back home after years of being away, and causes tension in the family. Him and Morty end up destroying their original reality and going to a new one. That's basically the same, except, that Rick and Morty died, so they're replacing them. And that's really traumatic. Season 2 happens, and Rick's putting a lot of strain on the relationship between Beth and Jerry. At the end of the season, they get divorced, I believe, at the end of season 2, right? Let's see here. Yeah, at the end of season 2, they get divorced. Season 3 is them dealing with the divorce. Season 4 is, now they're back together, and they're trying to set some ground rules. And season 5 is kind of, the rest of the family's kind of competent and doesn't seem to need Rick as much, and Rick's trying to deal with no longer being the center of their lives. We also finally get to some backstory on him and stuff like that. Alright? That's a basic overview. Really simple. You get weird, wacky premises like, hey, space heist movies, but Rick hates heist movies, so he's trying to create an anti-heist movie. Hey, it's a death crystal, and Morty's trying to get that perfect death, and now he's going full sci-fi madman while Rick is dead and now being revived by one of his contingency plans in an alternate reality and keeps dying as he keeps going to fascist universes, that kind of thing. Really weird, wacky. This is not a show you should be watching with kids. It is on Adult Swim. It's pretty crude, but in a very fun way. And it's not dumb. It's a very smart show with a lot of neat things to say. I think, personally, Rick's character, what they've done with him over the last few seasons, of him being, basically, Rick regularly calls himself a god in this universe. He's the kind of, mad genius in fiction who can just do whatever he wants, and he's very aware of it. Literally, other characters, there's literally this moment where they have this superhero parody episode, and they have their version of Thanos, World Ender, and, they get to his base, and it turns out Rick killed World Ender and his entire army while he was blackout drunk. Because Rick is just that OP in this universe. But it's not really seen as a good thing. He realizes that nothing matters. He's lived through basically every possible reality. He's had a pretty traumatic past, from what we understand. And he's kind of just burned out. His catchphrase, wubba dub dub, means, I am in great pain, please help me. He's a profoundly unhappy person. So, you're not really supposed to idealize Rick. You're more supposed to pity him, in a sense. You know, he's the smartest being in the galaxy, and he can't even be happy. Meanwhile, Jerry is a complete moron, and he at least kind of finds joy in life. I mean, Jerry is just, like, pathetic. He's Beth's husband, and he's just, like, the worst person ever. He loses his job at the beginning of season, I think in season 1 he loses his job, and he spends the rest of the series just unemployed, mooching around the house, being the most pathetic idiot around. And the entire family just regularly calls him out on it. But for all it is, he's happy. Meanwhile, Morty's having to deal with getting pulled out, constantly being attached to Rick, because Rick is using him to hide his brainwaves from the Intergalactic Federation. Summer deals with inadequacy, and Beth deals with the fact that Rick abandoned her all those years ago and then just showed up and decided to be a part of a family again. And, you know, all the trauma that involves. And later we find out she's not even his original Beth, so it was some other Rick who did all that stuff to her. He's just pretending. It's like, whatevs. Ugh, it's weird. The show is weird, wacky, always very creative, and just a lot of fun altogether. This new season, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the best season ever. I'd probably put that as season 3 because season 3 was just so good. But I would say that season 5 is definitely on the average pretty good. So what happens in this season is just a lot of different things. They have a, hey, look, it's a sort of Namor antagonist who's called Mr. Nimbus, and Rick's trying to, Morty crash lands in the ocean, and they have to, you know, get a peace deal with Mr. Nimbus so they don't declare war again. And there's this whole moment where Rick's like, I outgrew you, I'm done with you, you're like a joke to me, you're my nemesis, and you're a joke. A lot of fun jokes there. It's probably one of the best episodes, especially with the constant, like, he's Mr. Nimbus, he controls the police. Yeah, Summer, didn't you know that? Like, freaking Jerry at the end is like, yeah, Summer, he controls the police. Have you not been paying attention to this entire episode? It's like, no, I've been getting the freaking conch shell. Why did I get to be in this episode? I love it. And at the end of the episode, Beth and Jerry end up having a threesome with Mr. Nimbus, apparently. It's just, I told you, this show was not for kids. But anyway, so after that, you have Multiplicity, which is basically Rick started creating decoys, so if the family was ever attacked, decoys would be attacked. But then those decoys created decoys, and now they're discovering they're all decoys. And there's this whole, like, existential crisis as they all run around trying to either kill all the other decoys so they can be the last one standing, or try and assemble and prevent themselves from being killed, and it ends with 2 final families trying to kill each other. And it's like, oh my god, which one's the real ones? And then after the last Rick dies and all of the decoys are dead, we go to space, and it's like, somebody killed the decoy family. It's like, they were all decoys, and they were all being murdered. It's a very fast-paced episode, really enjoyable. Has a lot of fun gags. The idea of the Asimov cascade, which is named after Isaac Asimov, who created the laws of robotics, is a nice little thing. I love Rick explaining it. I don't know why, I just love that scene where he's explaining it. It's like, say decoy again. Fuck you. Jeez. Yeah, so that's fun. Then we have the Rick Convenient Mort, which is like, you have a Captain Planet ripoff, and called Plantina, and Morty falls in love with her, and they have this whirlwind romance. And then after he frees her from her now corrupt Planeteers, they basically, she ends up going full make mankind suffer to protect nature kind of thing, which Morty isn't okay with, and ends up being heartbroken. And it's kind of this, like, really sad episode for Morty, but it's like, and his mom was like, I don't want you getting involved in this relationship. And then at the end, she's like, oh, Morty, I just didn't want you getting hurt. Like, ugh. And then we have Rick Dependence Day Spray, which I'm not really going to talk about that episode. I don't really like it. It's about Morty creating a giant sperm monsters, and it's all just kind of dumb. And then they use one of Summer's eggs to try and attract them all so they can murder them all. But it ends up creating a giant incest baby. Their words, not mine. And that baby goes into space and later comes back. Do I admit, the scene where it comes back is pretty fun. Then they have a Morty graffiti. And that's where Jerry uses... it's basically Rick taking Hellraiser down a peg. So, okay, for those of you who don't know who Hellraiser is, because I'm, look, I have my parents, and they don't know what any of this stuff is, so I just have to assume none of you know either, because apparently we can't just assume people know stuff anymore. But Hellraiser basically is demons coming from hell who find pain enjoyable and want to inflict it on others because that's good, which is bad. And Rick, parodies them. Like, they're constantly like, you're not on the list. Oh, the pain of your rejection, which is good, which is bad, which is good. It's like, oh, your confusion, which feels so good, go on in. And it's like, just, the idiocy of defining yourself as the opposite of anything. And the ridiculousness that results from that. Meanwhile, Morty and Summer are trying to impress a new student called Bruce Chutback and take Rick's ship, which ends up blackmailing them to do ridiculous dumb stuff like fishing with, using entire galaxies to fish for Galacti. Galactuses from Marvel Comics. It's all really funny, really wacky. Good jokes. Then we have, the return of the President of the United States. Okay, so in previous seasons of Rick and Morty, they had the President of the United States as kind of like, he basically is just Obama, but even more, basically a parody of Obama, basically. Although I'm not sure it's specifically Obama, it looks like they modeled him off Obama, maybe. But, yeah. So, it's just Rick and Morty making fun of him. Making fun of the U.S. and presidents. And, just the U.S. government in particular. And this time it's Rick's trying to get a pardon after he destroys the Constitution of the United States while trying to look for some ancient hidden treasure. So he's going to try and turn himself into a turkey to get a turkey pardon and trick himself into getting a pardon. But apparently, Rick and the president have done this dance a few too many times because now they both have elaborate contingencies because Rick has apparently done this 10 or something times now and the president's gotten wise to it. And so they have this huge battle and the president turns into a turkey briefly, but then one of the other turkeys that wasn't him gets turned into him while he's stuck in a turkey body. And then it takes over the U.S. and there's a turkey army battling with aliens that apparently help colonize the U.S. And it's all ridiculous and dumb. And the jokes are consistently funny, as usual. My favorite episode, though, is probably... Let's see. Well, it's probably the finale, actually. So, going on from that, we get Gotron, Jarius, Rick Vangelion. Rick Vangelion. And if you haven't realized it yet, these names are ridiculous. I'm sorry. The episode names are so hard to say. And I really hate it sometimes. But, this episode is basically just a Voltron parody. For those of you who don't know what Voltron is, it's robot lions that turn into a giant robot to defend the universe. And Rick has been looking for the robot ferrets, the Gotron ferrets, to build Gotron. He finds the last as him, Summer, and Morty are on the way to Boob World and takes a detour. Summer starts replacing him. Summer named her giant incest baby Naruto, which is freaking hilarious as they, fight a giant anime robot. And Rick has been collecting Gotron from all the parallel universes after he gets his Gotron, along with a lot of other Ricks and Mortys and their families, to build a Gotron, a Gotron to the power of 5. Which is absurd, ridiculous, and amazing in all the right ways. Also, the giant monsters they end up fighting, though, are hilarious. Because, basically this whole thing is sort of a parody of the Godfather at first, mixed with, Voltron. But at the end, to reveal the monsters they were fighting were actually just alternate reality creatures that were coming here to spread the cure of AIDS to all realities. But no one that goes to this particular reality ever comes out, and they're willing to do their best to spread this impossible cure to every world. And so everyone kills them because they think they're giant monsters who are walking around and screaming. So of course they're going to shoot them first, which is hilarious. It's one of those dark kind of jokes that Rick and Morty has always done best. after this, they have Rick Turnell, Friend Shine of the Spotless Mort, which is one of the first episodes where we actually got to see a lot of Rick's past. He's had a few fake-out backstory moments before, but this is one of the few episodes where we got to see experience his past because we got to go into Bird Person's mind. Long story, Bird Person is Rick's best friend who was murdered by his wife after they got married, called Tammy, because he was an intergalactic narc for the Federation. Then, Tammy revived him as a sort of Darth Vader, cyborg, evil bird person called Phoenix Person, who fought Rick, and Rick managed to defeat him, and now he's trying to rebuild him into Bird Person, but he won't come out of his subconscious because of all the shit he's been through. Look, this show gets weird sometimes. Just deal with it. Run with it. Love it. So he goes through his whole memories, trying to get Bird Person, and he only is able to get him to come back by revealing that his daughter is still alive. Which Bird Person was like, wait, why didn't you tell me that at first? That would have drawn me out there immediately. It's like, then Rick just looks away. It's like, you weren't going to tell me, were you? Jackass. Of course, Bird Person is super nice, because he's like, Rick, I don't think I'll be talking to you anytime soon. But, like, you can tell he's mad. It's like, that's fair. Rick was going to just ignore his daughter and leave Bird Person's daughter in a Federation prison for the rest of her life, until she was useful to him. Which is just such a Rick thing to do, but also, completely results in Bird Person realizing that Rick is just not that good of a friend. For the second time, according to his memories, actually. And then we have the finale, which is where Rick gets rid of Morty after a few Morty messes. So he replaces him with literally 2 crows, and they go on adventures, and he becomes an anime character. No, I'm not joking. And then he comes back, but they have to go to the Citadel Ricks to fix some things, so they go there. And we meet Evil Morty. So, Evil Morty is, okay, how do I, I'm going to have to explain this, so let's just explain this. Okay, so, in a previous episode of Rick and Morty, there was a Rick who was going around killing other Ricks. Now, the Interdimensional Council of Ricks, yes, this is a thing, just roll with it, thought Rick C-137, the Rick we follow, was responsible, because, spoiler alert, he did it in the past. But, no, it actually wasn't him, so that he had to go on the run and figure out who did it. Now, he found the evil Rick and managed to defeat him. But at the end of the episode, we see this Rick had been capturing the Mortys as well to use their brainwaves to shield himself. But one of the Mortys walks away. It was the Morty that had been serving the evil Rick. And it's revealed that he had a cybernetic implant that was actually controlling that body like a puppet. So that Morty had been controlling that Rick, and he was actually the mastermind of the whole thing. And as the Ricks brought all the Mortys to the Citadel of Ricks, their home base, that Morty just kind of shuffled in with them and managed to get in. Then in another episode, it was revealed that Morty was running for president and managed to win as the new president of the Citadel after our Rick killed the Council of Ricks. Long story. So yeah, he's in control, he's running the place, it all looks very nice and well-maintained, and then, obviously a sewer mutant comes up. This Morty really disfigured and mutated comes up and tells, he's planning something, he's doing something horrible, and gets his head blown out. And our Rick and Morty just sit there because they're desensitized to this nonsense, and they're like, then a car comes up and it's like, the president would like to speak to you. It's like, oh, come on, Rick. Morty's like, come on, Rick, we should at least be over and be nice. Like, fine. But the second he tells us he's evil, we're leaving. Which, gosh, I love this show so much. I'm sorry. That is just such a hilarious part for me. That whole scene of, fine, but the second he admits that he's evil, we're leaving. And of course, yeah, he admits he's evil. He's trying to leave the Central Finite Curve, which, okay, the Central Finite Curve had been brought up a few times, and it was revealed in this season that the Central Finite Curve was a portion of the infinite multiverse that Rick had walled off. So Rick had walled off, or Rick, or the collective of Ricks, i.e. the Ricks who are the smartest beings in the universe, had walled off a section of infinite universes in which they were the smartest beings in their entire universe. So, all the universes we had gone through the green portals had only ever been universes where Rick or one of his counterparts, human or non-human, was the smartest being in the universe. And this Morty was sick of what he described as a crib for the universe's largest baby. So he decided to break out of the central finite curve, destroying the Citadel of Ricks and getting a bit of revenge in the process, and leave. And he's revealed to be a bit more of a nuanced character than we originally led to believe. He's not just getting vengeance, he just wants out of this nonsense. This place where Rick is just always the smartest, always wins, always whining about how he has that so hard when he just leaves a trail of broken lives in his place. Where Mortys are used as sacrificial pawns, where they're bred and literally slaughtered by the hundreds of thousands. And so he leaves. He destroys the Citadel of Ricks. Our Rick and Morty manage to escape with a bunch of other Mortys on a piece of the Citadel, but the rest of them all die, and we see evil Morty sitting out there in the void in his ship. He opens it up, sees the majesty of all infinity before him, and takes out a new portal gun, which opens a golden portal, which will take him somewhere else, somewhere far away from this endless series. Which is all very meta and all, but yeah. So we're not really sure what's going on, because they're trapped there on that piece of the Citadel out portals. Of course, this is also Rick and Morty, so they could literally just start the next episode saying, hey, yeah, fix my portal gun. We're going home, Morty. Bye. Bye, Mortys. You got the keys? Cool. If you guys want to go home, there's a bit of portal view in the bottom. If not, don't bother me. Peace. But I do hope they actually take this a lot to extreme. Maybe we'll have a few episodes following evil Morty and his journeys across the true multiverse. Maybe we'll find out what's going on in the central finite curve, if it even still exists, because there was evidence that might have been destroyed. So, like, are Rick and Morty going to go to other universes where Rick is not the smartest being in the universe? What happened to the Jerry, Summer, and Beth that we've been following? Because, I don't want their storylines to end. All in all, very interesting to see where it goes, because we got like 10 more seasons. Well, not 10 more seasons. We got like 7 more seasons of this coming up, because Adult Swim, like after season 2, was like, this is keeping our entire network afloat. Let's go ahead and greenlight 10 more seasons of it. Go, go, go. So, all in all, really excited to see what's going to go on here. I kind of ran through that season. I know, I went a little fast, but, what can I say? I'm really excited about this. Rick and Morty has always been one of those shows that its humor can be really juvenile at times, but it can also be very deep in its messaging. Scenes where Rick is just sitting there being laughed at by holograms of himself, calling himself a loser that he planned as a prank for someone else, but it turns out it's a lot more suited for him. Just little details about the characters. They're in this very ridiculous comedic sci-fi premise, but the characters are all written very believably. From Summer's desire to be more than just the female add-on, Beth's issue with her father, alcoholism, and struggles with her family, and the dreams she gave up to have a daughter at such a young age in high school, Jerry's inadequacy and his own sort of ignorant bliss in spite of it all, Morty's neuroses and growth throughout the series as he goes from being this random kid with a weird sci-fi uncle to being almost as proficient in the world as Rick himself is. Rick, this mad genius who could do almost anything in life once, but instead lives out of his, daughter's garage and goes on sci-fi adventures to fill the void in his own life that he's been unable to fill in the life he's already lived. All the characters just have this very realistic human side to them. They're more than the cartoons or cliches they're based on. And that's always really interesting. I also just like a lot of the darker humor of the show, in particular, episodes like autoerotic assimilation, where Rick tries to reunite with his girlfriend Unity, who's like a hive mind entity who takes over planets and stuff like that. The collective, fear kind of racing. And she just has an unhealthy relationship with Rick whenever they get together. They always just are bad for each other, so she ends up, dropping it off. She ends up, leaving after he ruins her society she'd been trying to unify and perfect. Because he's always better at consuming her than she is at consuming others, that whole thing. And Rick is just a bundle of toxic relationships. And it's always really depressing. There's always that one scene in Rick and Morty seasons where basically every season has 1 or 2 scenes at the end of the episode where, like, something kind of annoying and sad has happened, and there's just this sad music as Rick comes to grips with how he's a horrible person. He tries to commit suicide at the end of episode 3 of season 2. Which, again, I told you this is not a kid series. If you weren't comfortable with this kind of stuff, you shouldn't have been listening. But, yeah, he tries to commit suicide at one point. He's a profoundly unhappy person who can do literally anything, but doesn't seem to find joy in it anymore. He acts like he has. He loves being a quote-unquote a god, but, like, it's just kind of disappointing, you know? It really is unfortunate. But, like, as sad as you feel for Rick, he's also still just, like, a horrible person. Like, do not... The worst part of the series, the joke is the worst part of the series is the fans, because there are a lot of fans who, like, look up to Rick, and it's like, people, we're not supposed to empathize with Rick. Like, ugh. Like, I'm personally a nihilist. I don't see any inherent worth in anything, but I still try and find joy in the day-to-day life. Rick just doesn't see the point to anything at all, not even trying to enjoy it. He just sees life as, like, an endless slog. I'm not even sure why he does what he does, other than just he can, and that's sort of like his middle finger to the universe. Sorry, I didn't mean to get real into what Rick personality is with that. I'm not even qualified to talk about most of that stuff. But I did think it was interesting. He's just an interesting character. Morty has grown a lot over the seasons. In season 5, he's about as competent as he's ever been. In the first season, he was always asking me, like, what is this? What's going on? And in season 5, like, the ending season, the reason Rick gets upset is because Morty uses his portal gun, a lot of his portal gun fluid, to go fix all the mistakes he's made to. He goes rescue a cookie president, repairs a dam wall that him and Rick had destroyed, just, destroying this lava monster that was terrorizing an island planet because him and Rick stole a gem from it. He's basically taking responsibility for the fact that he goes on these adventures. And I've always kind of respected Morty for that. He genuinely does, like, not always. Morty can be a horrible person too. He's, a teenager and a bit horny too as well. But all in all, Morty's a pretty good person, and he tries to be better. He tries to learn from Rick's example, not in the sense of trying to be like him, but trying to be better than him. To even after he knows all this stuff about the universe, even though he's become very competent and proficient in Rick's sci-fi BS, as it's often called, still tries to do the right thing. Then we also have Space Beth, which is, okay, so at one point, Beth said, do you want me to leave and go on, adventures in the universe, because Rick offered that chance, or do you want me to stay and be a family, and for us to be a family? And I don't want to make the choice. I want, you to finally make a choice about my life for me. You have never been there, and I'd like you to just tell me, I want you to stay or I want you to go. And Rick, being Rick, made a clone of her, ran them in a roulette table, basically, sent one into space and kept one at home, and he does not know which one's real or not, and there's literally no way to tell. So, yeah. But she's, trying to make a difference. She's become like a sci-fi badass, and she's often known as Space Beth. And she tries to, do a good thing. Whenever Rick talks to her, it's like, it's your hero phase. You'll grow out of it. It's like, I won't grow out of doing this shit. That's you. And you do have to wonder, is she going to grow to be better than her father? Is she going to, become, like, the sci-fi hero instead of just growing out of it like Rick did? And, like, at this point, even his old friends, like, most of his friends are dead. Swampshi's dead. Everybody at that party was dead. And Bird Person is kind of just pissed at him in a way he hasn't been in years. And it's really kind of depressing. So, yeah. Rick and Morty. Pairing nihilism, comedy, depression, suicide, and all sorts of other wonderful things all together into this, anemic cocktail. It's strange, it's weird, it's amazing. I love it. I love to see where it goes to, and, the only thing I really have to say left about this is that this season finale was just weird. Like, it's almost like they wanted to solve every piece of canon, like, wrap up every storyline at once, just so they don't have to keep, like, because people are constantly asking, when's Evil Morty gonna come back? When are you going back to the Citadel of Ricks? When are we gonna hear about Rick's backstory? What about this? What about that? And the writers, it almost feels like the writers were like, alright, come on. Alright, fine. You wanna know the answer to all these things? Here. There are 2 episodes. It's gonna answer everything. Now, will you shut up and let us make good TV? Don't get me wrong, those episodes are amazing. I love the last 2 episodes of the season. I love that it was a 2-parter. I even love the Crow Rick thing. I think that was hilarious. The little anime AOP they did for him. But I also feel like it's freed the show up to tell new and interesting stories instead of hanging on to the same old baggage that I've been having since, like, the first season with the whole Evil Morty. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where the series can go from now. Maybe we'll follow some evil Morty. Maybe Rick and Morty will have to find a new universe. Maybe they'll go back to their own universe because it's Rick and Morty, and the rules are if Rick wants it to happen, it basically happens. So, we'll see. Anyway, next time, we're going to be talking about another movie. Although this is one I've just, recently grabbed after a while. It's called Underwater. The plot is, it's basically Alien, but at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. So, sounds fun, sounds interesting, just watch it, it's a lot of fun. I'll be doing that review next. This will be coming out on Tuesday, so that next review will be out on Friday. Hope you enjoy it. In addition to that, in the coming month, near the later half of September and the entirety of October, in addition to the Dune movie, book, and new movie review we're going to be doing, I'm going to be doing a lot of horror-themed stuff. So I've decided I am going to review Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8. I'm going to really try and get those reviews out by the end of October, so fingers crossed I can actually do it. In addition to that, I'll be looking for, scary movies and scary shows, Halloween-themed stuff. Might go check out some of the stuff in my back catalog that I've already watched, read. So, yeah, look forward to all of that. Hopefully I'll review something from Stephen King. Seems appropriate. I do like his work when I can get through it, so, look forward to all of that because we're going to be having a nice, fun time in Halloween, which is just my favorite holiday. So I've decided, you know what? Screw it. The last half of September is Halloween as well. Let's do this. So, yeah, look forward to those in the near future. I think that's basically everything. All right. Well, see you guys next time. Bye. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and thank you for listening to The Dragon's Library. Please, subscribe to this podcast to be notified of new episodes. The Dragon's Library releases new episodes Tuesday and Friday each week, and you can follow us on Twitter at dragon_library2. If you want to suggest an episode topic, my email is in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for all your support.